Tapping, tap into your purpose. Tapping, tapping. Check it out. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into purpose. Our purpose. Our purpose. We tapping into purpose. Our purpose. Our purpose.
What's good? It's your boy Zay.
It is your boy Rashad.
And this is the Raw on Purpose Podcast.
That's right. Welcome back to the Raw on Purpose Podcast, where it's about tapping into your real authentic self while thriving in your divine purpose as well. And we just, of course, tapping in with these great episodes, bringing on the best guests to help bring forth that specific purpose and help you tap in.
And guys, we are still in this whole entrepreneurship, business owner conversation. Like, we've got such great feedback. People have really enjoyed the content. So we're just going to keep going forward. And today, we have actually a return guest. We had him before when we were talking about being a husband, being a father, but he's coming to talk about his how he makes a living, right? He is probably one of the dopest producers. He's produced some songs that you probably know and didn't know that it was him. And, you know, him and I are like, he's like one of my big bros, right? We've been able to create a dope bond over the past 4 or 5 years. And so it was like, hey, we're talking about entrepreneurship. A lot of people want to understand how to get in the music business. How does it work? We've done some stuff together, which has taught me even about the music business. And so I was like, yo, let me see if Wesley come through and be able to sit down and holler at us, or not holler at us, that sounds so lame. We'll come through and
kick it with us.
Top it up.
Right.
Top it up. So y'all do us a favor again. Welcome Wes back to the stage.
He's back again.
He's back again.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
Man, so how you been, first and foremost? It's been, actually, it was about this time last year that we had you coming on.
Was it a year?
It was.
Oh, wow.
It was.
That's crazy.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
because we were in marriage. Marriage and family last year.
Yep.
During this time.
Man, what made the time pass by that fast?
I know.
Jeez.
It seemed like late last month.
Yeah.
But man, what you been up to, man?
Oh, man. Well, you know what I've been up to.
I know.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
what you been up to.
I've been up to my usual, which is, family, God, music. Those are the three elements. And some Netflix and chilling with my wife. But yeah, just been really focused on finishing up my project in the last I don't know how many years. It's been a long time coming. So yeah, man, it's just been pretty cool time. Been catching up on a lot of dope podcasts like this. I'm a big podcast watcher too. So yeah, man, just doing music, doing time with my family, and most importantly, still trying to grow with my relationship with God.
What's up, man?
Nice.
So, man, you wanna dive into your project, or you want us to wait until?
Hey, it's on you, man. Like you driving this car, bro.
So actually, before we do that, like, how long have you been doing music, right?
Okay, I've been doing music. I've been doing music for a long time, for probably since I was 12. So, I mean, like 80%, 90% of my life they there. You know what I'm saying? So I've been that's how long I've been doing music. I've been singing since I was out of the womb. So I've had some element of music in me basically since birth. So I mean, you hear the same thing for people who do music that are creative and everything. So yeah.
Okay. So you came out singing like Stevie Wonder when you came out the womb, like that?
Nah, not like Stevie Wonder. But it's so funny because you don't remember anything like when you're a kid, but your parents tell you like
Right.
whatever. And so my mom was saying that like I think around the age of 2, I would be able to recite whatever that I heard, like themes. Like if it was something on a movie, I'd be able to recite the theme. And she was like, "Oh man, this kid is going to be able to do music." And then this is typical stuff, beating on pots and pans and stuff. Drums was my first instrument, so beating on pots and pans. So they were telling me that was happening, really, really early, like 2 or 3 years old. So I think most people that are doing music, pretty much have some idea, like when they're younger.
Yeah. I think it's crazy because like my wife has taken baby girl to some like rehearsals, and we found out that she has like perfect pitch.
Super dope.
Like, and like last Easter, actually, we took her to my old pastor's house, and you know how most kids come and when they see a piano or something, they just bang on it. She was like, and then she hit one note and matched the pitch very well.
Oh man,
just
don't play with her.
Right. So,
dude, I got a picture of her on my phone on my one of my keyboards.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, when I got the Lensa stuff, I was actually gonna send you guys the picture. I was gonna like trick it out in the Lensa, send you guys a picture.
Right, so it's amazing being able to see like to foster, because like now we know that's something that she's gonna be gifted at.
It's good that y'all recognize it.
Right.
Because she can like, you know, we're playing music and she in the background like singing up a storm. She don't understand what she, but she'll match. She's understanding. She'll match pitch. Right. I look forward to the time where it's like she can hear somebody off pitch and look at them like they're crazy.
Bruh.
Oh man.
Look at them with the bruh eyes.
Right. Man, she gonna give them a look.
Yeah, that sounds like one of them choir directors or something.
I mean, she has a little bit of her mama in her, so.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, yeah, it could happen.
Or her grandma.
Yep.
So that said, her mom was a little tough on her when she was teaching her how to sing and all that stuff. Did you play the drums too when you were younger, like in church?
Not in church, but I did play drums. I just sung in the choir.
Oh, you sing? Oh, or were you forced to sing in the choir, or were you like legitimately in the choir?
No, I wasn't forced. I actually wanted to.
That's really saying something because most of the kids are forced. Like,
yeah, I definitely was.
No, I wasn't a kid. This is when my young adult.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
We learned things.
So,
yeah.
You got the baseline tenors.
So you made the choice.
You better believe I was utilized for the what's that Silent Night song, Christmas Light. Like, oh, you can do that. Oh yeah, you can definitely.
Yeah, they definitely pay me not to sing.
Oh man.
So now what's your journey been like? Right, I know you're from
Indianapolis. Yeah, Naptown.
Moses on down to Atlanta. What made you come to Atlanta?
Oh, I'm gonna give you the cliche answer. The Holy Spirit told me from the bosom. Yeah. What made me come to Atlanta was I knew I wanted to do music, but again, I wasn't sure the path that God wanted for me. You know, so I didn't want to just like dart down, you know, to Atlanta and not be sure, you know, that God, because I knew it could crash and burn if He didn't want me to be down there, or be down here. So, you know, I did pray and ask. I said, hey, you know, like, you know, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? I'm, you know, in college right now. You know, I'm feeling like I need to move to Atlanta. That, you know, especially at that time. I mean, it's just the music scene was. I mean, it's still crazy, but I mean, at that point, it's at its peak. You know what I mean? So everybody's kind of moving to Atlanta that wants to do music. So you know, made the decision because I felt like you know, cliche wise, God was pushing me in that direction to come here. So it's been excellent.
So what are some of your experiences like doing music, right? Like, I mean, that's essentially, is that like what, 15 years for you now? Like you've been here?
Yeah, so we're right there. Yep.
So 15,
About 2007.
Music essentially almost 30 plus years. So what has been like your experience starting off to even getting into the place that you are right now?
I mean, obviously, with anything that you do for that long a period, it's trial and error. Like, there's things that you're gonna like that you're not gonna know coming in. Yeah. So I know when I first came down here, I didn't recognize like business versus creative. I'm a creative, you know what I mean? Like, I was born to create, you know what I mean? But in order to make a living, you have to understand the business side of it, which I didn't really have any interest in. When I first came down here, I was, you know, working with a lot of people in a lot of studios all the time, but I wasn't making any money because I was trusting that the people that I was working with, oh, they're gonna take care of it. They got me. You know what I mean? So I remember like over and over, I would call my mom and be like, "Oh, mama, I'm in the studio with this person," and she'd be like, "Oh, George, let's go get the champagne." They're thinking like it's my big break or whatever, but I didn't know anything. Like I didn't know anything. But and all these people are using me. They're to make music, and they like, oh, this guy's a musician too. So they're using me to play on stuff. So there's um. I'm not gonna say that was a rough period. It's kind of a bittersweet time because you're around people and you're kind of like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But then, at some point, that wears off, especially when you're not eating the way that that you probably should. So there's the trial and error aspect of it. And then there's just from a music standpoint, like anything that you do consistently for a long period of time. We just talk about this like with your podcast and everything. You're gonna get better at it. You should. Yeah. If you're doing it, if you're pushing forward, you should get better. If you're not getting better, I don't know. You probably should. It's probably not the feel for you. So I feel like, as anybody puts hours into a craft, whether it's producing or songwriting or being a musician, you get better. So I feel like that's just been a natural, progression of just getting stronger in these different aspects of music.
So when people are looking to get into the industry, right, I think a lot of people get lost in fame, right? Most people get into music for the fame of it, right? They say that it's love, but it's the fame, it's the notoriety, and it's the money. But there are some things about it that if you don't know, if you don't have people kind of steering you, can easily steer you in the wrong direction. So like how are you able to steer clear of some of those like pitfalls? And then what are some of the pitfalls that people fall into, especially people that are moving to LA, moving to New York, or moving to Atlanta or even Miami to produce or do music? Like what are some of the pitfalls that they need to kind of be watching out for and looking out for as they pursue?
Okay. How was I able to steer clear? So it's actually like a 3-part because like there's how you're able to steer clear, there's what you weren't able to steer clear from, and then there was how do you steer clear. So how you're able to steer clear, one, if you have a godly compass, that can help. You know what I mean? It really can, because he can. There was one instance in particular at my apartment where I remember calling a guy to come in and put my internet in. The guy didn't even put my internet in. He was there at my apartment trying to figure out something as regards to putting my internet in, and he said something to me. He talked to me for about 5-10 minutes, and I knew it was God. I was like, you're not here to put this internet in. You're just here to say this. I knew it was God, like, talking to me, because I wasn't even talking back to him. And God was basically telling me, he used the word, he said, Atlanta is a cesspool of sin, right? That's what he said to me, right? And it was God that was talking to me. And I knew it was God because God had told me some stuff before I moved to Atlanta. You know what I mean? But it's like he could see, like, you can go like one or two ways, because God was always trying to like steer me, and he would give me he would show me things to kind of say, hey, I can't keep you from this. I'm going to show you this road and that road. You could take either one, you know what I mean, but this road is going to end badly. So there's having a compass, and then there's just from being young, there's definitely, there's not pitfalls that you have to fall into or anything, but sometimes, you come to Atlanta, if you're young, you might fall into some stuff. Try not to stay in that stuff. Try to have God like just get you back on the path or whatever. But I would say another thing as far as avoiding some of the pitfalls also, I think the people that you have around you too, people that can give you like just solid advice, people that have already made huge mistakes and fallen, and they can tell you kind of like how to not go into those pitfalls. And then we're in the age of information, so you can read books on the music industry, on some of the pitfalls in the industry, and a lot of those will be business type of pitfalls. You know, it's not necessarily just falling into this or that. It's business stuff. So educating yourself from a business standpoint, and it's not a fun thing to do for people that are creative. Like I don't want to do that. But educating yourself in that way, and YouTube, there's YouTube has grown, so there's tons of people that have videos on these type of things, on what things to look for, what not to do when you're copywriting songs. And I mean, there's just tons of stuff, but you're gonna learn some stuff through trial and error. There's no way. I used to tell people all the time, like, you're gonna get burned. Like there's really no way around it. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go in to the music industry and have a clean slate, like, because there's too many snakes and sharks.
Yeah.
And
because of especially what you said, God was speaking through him. Like, at least what you're talking about is Atlanta, like, it's a cesspool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the industry is a cesspool, so predominantly, like you said, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But if you got that godly compass, you're always protected, and whatever happens, God's using that for your betterment.
Yeah, and let me clarify that too, because I'm not saying it's inevitable that you're gonna fall into necessarily immorality.
Right.
It is if you. It depends on how close you get and how close you stay to that pocket. Then it becomes inevitable. But I'm talking about as far as just mistakes, just the regular mistakes that people make in even just the creative space period, right? Like, man, why can't I seem to, be making money? I've got songs on the radio. I've got songs here. Why am I that? It's those type of things. Like, you're not going to come into the industry and just get that. You know what I'm saying? Even if you sign a deal, like I've signed deals, I've been under signed deals, but I've also turned down deals because of the knowledge that I have now. You know what I mean? But signing a deal is not necessarily winning. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go into the music industry with no knowledge on deals or business, and you think that the end all be all is to sign a deal, you're gonna lose, and you could lose bad. Like I've worked with several artists, man, that were tied down in deals. I remember working with super talented artist. She's been featured on a whole lot of songs and everything too. Great songwriter, but she was locked into a bad deal, and my manager tried to buy. We tried to buy her out of the deal, and there was no way of her getting out. And she was like damn near suicidal because it was a 5-album deal, and it wasn't like, oh, you go create 5 albums, you get out. The 5 albums had to be approved, so she was stuck. And it was horrible. But again, when you sign these deals, you think like, oh, great, I'm winning. No, not necessarily. Especially you sign one of these crazy like 360 deals, which means basically, the industry is tethered to you no matter what you do. Like you go outside and say, oh, I want to sell some merch. I want to sell some perfume. They're taking money from everything.
They're getting a piece of all of it.
They're getting a piece because because it's like with those 360 deals, you literally like selling. It's like selling you. You know what I'm saying? It's like they just bought you. So those type of things can really make people like go crazy.
So it sounds like you should, honestly, before you even jump into it, you need to be well informed, right? Of like understanding what you're really getting into.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're around snakes and sharks, right? Like, people get into music for the love of it, not understanding that people are in it for the love of the money that it brings them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so they will cut your knees off.
Yeah.
In order for them to make sure they keep making a buck, right? Or they'll literally take your life to make sure that you're that they're able to make money. Like I heard someone, I think it was something that I saw this clip where Alicia Keys. I don't know if y'all seen that clip floating around.
She's talking about Prince.
Yeah. And Prince said, "I'm not sending them kids to college off of so you might need to change this." And I was like, yo, that's so profound, and we don't think about that. And what they do is they put these people and shine them in front of your face while they're promoting killing, doing drugs, having
Right.
sex with whoever. While they're promoting all that stuff, their kids are going to the best schools, getting the best vehicles, best education,
Mm-hmm.
best health care, best everything.
Yeah, away from those neighborhoods.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a separate.
Yep.
It's a gap.
Yep. And then they take that money and invest it in those neighborhoods to price people out. And nobody thinks about that because we're just so like enamored with the celebrity, right? The content that they're putting out or the songs that they're writing. So like in your experience, like how have you grown as an artist over these, as an artist, musician, producer? How have you grown in the industry from you walking in to where you are now?
I think I've grown in I've grown. You have to grow in yourself. I've grown in myself and knowing the direction that I want to go and be able to stand 2 feet on that. You know, there was a certain period of time where, you know, people were sending me songs for hooks and stuff all the time, like to sing hooks or to write hooks. And I remember, you know, not too long ago, somebody had sent me something, and at first it was like a progression, you know, where it was like I was recording anything at first, and then it was like, okay, I'm not gonna be doing any cussing, right? So then I would tell people that, and then it was like, you know, I'm not really on that wave, you know. I'm pretty much doing Christian content, so I can't sing anything raunchy or sexual, like, and it was just getting that out there, you know what I mean? And generally speaking, I mean, I haven't had any issues because, you know, a lot of people, you know, if they respect your gift or your talent, and you're consistent in holding yourself to a certain standard and having integrity, they'll respect it. And they'll be like, you know, oh, okay, no worries, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think you said something key. Like, I think that's probably another thing walking into the industry. You got to know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You got to know, like, you got to know what your number is, right? You got to know what you're willing to walk away from. You got to know, I mean, really who you are. Because, you know, if you don't know who you are, this is the one industry that's going to chew you up and spit you out. Like, what are some of the craziest things that you've seen, like, being in this space, right? Like, from people you worked with, things you've seen in the studio.
It depends on, like, okay, well, how well, there's some crazy stuff. I'm probably not gonna go on record with it, you know what I'm saying? Cause it involves people that, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying stuff that you've seen that you can share.
Stuff that I've seen that I could share. Oh, what did I just have? Craziest stuff I've seen. Well, I wouldn't say this is crazy. I would say this is more of a norm. I won't tell you who these people are either, but you know, I've been involved with my production team in a couple of major lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? Of one was a song that ended up on somebody's somebody's album. The artist himself didn't steal it, but his engineer did to try to take credit for it. So that was like 2-3 year lawsuit. And then there was somebody on a show on VH1 took something, and that was a long battle. Those things right there they're not experiences that you have to go to, but they're eye opening. You know, they're eye opening because it goes back to what I was saying about like how I would say in the music industry, it's not like a 9 to 5. If I'm working a 9 to 5, I know that if I put in the hours, then I'm gonna have a check at the end of 2 weeks. Right. You know, if I put in the hours or put in the work, I'm gonna have the check. Music is not like that. Right. Yeah. You have to actually make your money and get your money. Like literally. Quite literally. Because you actually have to do it because it's not just gonna happen. Like very rarely, you know, I consider myself actually to be one of the people that I hold myself to integrity when it comes to this stuff, and I give, I consult. You know what I'm saying? And not off of money. I just do it because if I see somebody's just in a pocket where they're about to just get killed, I'm like, look, man, I'm about to put you on a little bit of game right here. This is what you need to do. This, you need to do this. And people, even if they call and ask me, I had an artist that bought some beats from me, didn't know me at all. And she called me and we got into a conversation and she was just asking me a whole bunch of questions and I, put her on game with a whole lot of stuff. But a lot of people, what they do is they see you, they see that you don't know. It's like going into a dangerous foreign country and they can see that you're a foreigner.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how the music industry is. Like you could tell like people that don't know anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even they could be super talented. Talent doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing. The talent is actually, it's not the cake, it's the icing on the cake. Yeah. It should be that the talent is the cake, but it's the business that has taken that over. So if they can see that you don't know anything, they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to take advantage of you. You know what I mean? And then you'll be years into something wondering why you're still living at your mama's house or still living in your apartment or still here. You see what I'm saying? Right. You're not going to and there's been horror stories, so music artists should have learned through TLC and through New Edition. Those were horror stories, right? New Edition getting off tour, getting off a bus and going back to the housing projects, right? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So those are horror stories and people should have learned from those things, but these are and like I said, those things are kind of like normalities. But yeah, I've seen, crazy things. I know one time, I'm not gonna say this was a crazy thing, but this was kind of an eye-opening thing. I was in the studio, and there was a lot of people in there, and I mean, you know how I am. I'm just talking, I'm goofing off all the time. Yeah. One thing I will say is when you get into certain spaces, those spaces aren't necessarily like when you chilling with your homies. You know what I'm saying? So I said something in the studio very nonchalantly, and under normal circumstances, it would be nonchalant, and we would just laugh at it and have a little conversation if it was just homies. But I said something, and I forgot that, there are people in the room that personally know all these people, right? So it was very awkward. It was very, very awkward. And I didn't think I said anything like slanderous or anything, but I just brought up something, you know what I'm saying? And it got really, really quiet. And I knew immediately, like, man, I hope I haven't just blackballed myself out of this studio or out of this situation. But it was an eye-opening experience. It was kind of like, okay, you can't just say anything. It's not like you're at the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Like, because music is small. It's a small circle. In fact, I would argue that the people that really control the music industry could fit in this room. I'm talking about, and these are like the older white dudes. You know what I'm saying? Right. But yeah, it's a small industry. So like, if you start talking or anything, you could get kind of blackballed quickly. Yeah.
It's crazy that you would say it's a small industry, yet it produces so much capital.
It produces so much capital, but it's a small industry as far as the movers and shakers. It's not a big industry. It's just same thing with the media. Our media goes through three or four main groups. I think all the labels basically go under the umbrella of three labels. So it's all small. It's a hierarchy, and once you start getting up to the top, it's not big. And if you really start looking at the people that are promoted and pushed, it's not a lot of people. Yeah. It's not a lot of people that are in that pocket of we are going to put everything into you and push your brand, that's not a lot of people. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So someone say I'm coming in like, yo, Wes, I want to get into the music industry. I want to be popping. I want to get popular. Would you encourage them to go the independent route, or would you have them hunting out a deal?
I mean, me personally, I'm more of an independent route person, but just because I'm an independent route person doesn't mean that's your path. Yeah. But I would say there's just certain deals that I would say to stay away from. there are certain deals. There are certain deals that, let's say, are not great, but they could catapult you to a position to make a better deal somewhere else, right? Um, so yeah, I would say there's certain deals that you just don't want to take off the bat, right? So publishing, like paying attention to publishing, pay attention to those percentages, and pay attention to like things like albums, how many albums need to be completed, how much needs to be recouped, how long is the deal? Like there was a period of time where I wouldn't sign any longer than like a year or two to anything, no matter how good the deal was. I wouldn't sign any more than a year or two. So at worst, I'm stuck for a year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not signing anything that's like locking me in or anything, because like that I feel so good now because I don't have like I'm free. I have complete freedom of creativity, and I'm a creative person. So when you're in a lot of those spaces, you would be shocked. I mean, how much you could value your piece and how much you would value creative control. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't just get that when you just sign stuff without looking at it. You definitely need other people, probably an attorney. Like I had an attorney. You got to have an attorney like look over, because you're not going to be able to like understand everything that's being said.
Yeah. I mean, I think about you just said something.
Come on, Holy Spirit, bring it back.
Yes. Anyways, it'll come back to you.
Let me ask you this though, like, because you said you've been in the industry for about how long now?
Oh, I've been in the industry, well, technically since I was like 14.
About 14.
Yeah.
So that's roughly what, like
I'm about to be 40, so that's 26, 20. I was 25 years, I guess, perfectly.
So that's a good amount of, definitely like my good amount of years. Like, what's some things in the industry that you've noticed that have changed, like from then until now, that it's things that have shifted, changed for the good or the better, that you noticed that have changed, even in your personal business while being in the industry?
File sharing changed everything.
And of course, you being a part of that, how do you see that, like, that change? Like, do you see that being like a good thing, or not the best thing for the artist?
I say it's probably it was bad. It was definitely bad for the industry, because I mean the industry, has lost lots of money. Well, here's my spiel on what I think was going on at some point. I think there was a lot of great music that was made for a period of time, and at some point, as the music and the dollars started flowing in, because you got to think in the 60s and 70s, they weren't making millions of dollars, right? But those millions of dollars are now starting to float in, as you get into the 90s, you get into what you call the golden age, right? So as that money starting to flow in, what was happening was, mind you, remember I told you I used to love going to the CD store, and buying music every weekend. I would do that. And if I didn't buy music, I was listening to it. What began to happen was people were throwing 17, 20 songs on there where 2 songs were good, right? So they were producing music quickly. It was almost like fast food, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was almost like the response was the file share. It was like the response to cable being so high was the Fire Stick. Right? Yeah. So there's always, like, if you take advantage of the little man long enough, at some point they hit back. Yeah. And I thought file sharing was kind of like the hit back, but it was the type of hit back that there wasn't going to be any there was going to be no way of fixing it. Yeah. You have to. The music industry is forced to adapt, and they still haven't made it up. That's where the 360 deals started coming in, and that's why you see people trying to do new creative things, like, you saw people trying to put out visual albums. Right. You see people trying to do all kinds of different things through the years, because it changed the game forever. Now, did it change it for the good? I mean, I don't know. I think there's two sides of the coin. I think I think is music oversaturated now? Because I as a producer, I can speak as a producer. It's there's been stuff that has kind of messed up the production game, right? Like for instance, like earlier on in the golden age, somebody like Timberland, let's say he's the high him and Pharrell. Timberland for sure. I mean, he was making 250,000 a beat for an advance, not including points, mechanical royalties or anything like that. He was making 250,000. Now those days are over, and I probably forever. I mean, probably forever, because there was a point in music where if you were touching a song that was getting out there, you're gonna make $1 million. Like there was a pocket of time where if you just had to be on that joint. I did the on there, and you was gonna make some money. You know what I'm saying? People were just trying to do anything just to jump on the tracks. Now it's a totally different ball game, man. Like you got people production wise that are really giving away music. So it really messes up the market. From a supply and demand standpoint, it just messes up the market. So there are a lot of challenges, man. But I think if you're an optimist, there's a lot of great things that you could do from the space, man. The internet is a game changer because of all the stuff that file sharing did, it did give people more routes to go independent. You know what I'm saying? And if you go independent, obviously, if you can break out independent, you're gonna be good to go. You're gonna be making way more money than you would be when you're sharing it with lots of people in the music industry. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's helpful for people to understand. Like, I remember, because that whole file sharing started when we were in like high school.
Yeah.
I know they had Napster.
Kazaa. LimeWire.
Right, LimeWire is the one that would give your computer a disease.
Oh yeah, Kazaa. I got diseases from all of them joints.
And it also, I mean, I guess you could say the con of the whole file sharing is albums are more likely now to be leaked earlier.
Oh yeah.
Right, like I remember I had a copy of Usher's Confessions before Confessions came out.
I have confessions.
All right, one of my high school guys somehow got his hands on it, and so because I gave him a ride, he gave it to me for free. I ended up buying the album. Right,
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that kind of even helped stop that though. Like people can't, you don't get it for free, or better yet, like you're not stealing the content. So like if I have a CD. And you have a CD burner, I come to your house and burn the CD for you to have it. Now, people aren't missing out on those checks because they're streaming now. You get points. Now, obviously, you got to get a lot of streams. Mm-hmm. Right, how they kind of...
Yeah, oh, man, the way they do that, like...
Yeah, ain't that something?
Oh, man, to make... It was Pandora at first. Pandora was crazy with the percentages. Like, you wouldn't make anything. But Spotify's pretty bad, too. Like, it's hard to make... a lot of money off of streams. You could make a lot off of YouTube if everything goes right. If you understand like how to integrate certain things, because people that are doing these videos, like they are figuring out the game, and what they're doing is like they're not just making money from the ads. They're making money from this, that, and the third. They're making money from like 4 different things, like per video.
Yeah.
That's how you start to build it up.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about like Spotify, like, do you know the percentages? Like,
I don't know the actual percentage, but I know you're not. You could something could stream 2 million times, and that doesn't mean like, oh man, I just made $100,000. It's not that. It's I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's pretty low. But the streaming thing, what the streaming thing does is, I think streaming is the reason why you can probably bypass the industry. It's one of the things that helps you bypass the industry because of exposure. Because you used to pay for when you're paying you're publishing to somebody or giving your percentages to somebody in the industry, it was for distribution and for exposure and for network and stuff like that. Well, now if you create that on your own from your own YouTube, the network will come to you, because if you get big enough, people will come. Your network will come. Your exposure is obviously there if you're getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers, stuff like that. And then once you create a pocket of people that are gonna follow you, you just distribute it yourself. You don't need to. I mean, I'm pretty sure not too many people are doing CDs anymore, so it's easier to do those things. People know how to go through TuneCore and Spotify. They know how to go through all the streaming sites. So there's basically a way for you to be successful. And let's be honest, I would say the vast majority of people in the music would probably be happy making some level of a living off of it, not having to be rich and famous. Now there are some that are going to push for that really want to be rich and famous, and they're going to push for that. But most people would probably be happy being able to make a living, and that's very, very possible in the climate that we're in now. So
man. Good stuff, bro.
Real good stuff.
Are you good to stick around for a part 2? I mean, before we cut for this episode, I want you to tell them, because you said earlier that you're working on, you've been working on an album. I think this is your first solo project.
Mm-hmm.
Your first solo project in the industry, 15 plus or 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's your first time. We'll definitely dive into part 2. Like, what has that process been for you? Because I'm sure just through our conversations that it's different from being a producer of managing different things.
Yeah, I told you that. It's a different game.
Artist and producer to hold all that stuff together. The systems look totally different.
Yep.
And it was like, for me, being first time being able to be a part of a project, to see like how the process has been, how it has helped mold like even my expectations. But we'll dive into that even more in the next part. But if you can, look in the camera, let them know where can they find the project, where can they, any information, social media, all that stuff, can they find you to get the album, and so you can learn more about it.
Okay. Yes, my name is Kadeem. My brother speaking over here, he was actually one of the songwriters on the project, so he's been heavily invested in it as well. So hopefully you can get used to seeing these QR codes. We want this QR code in particular just spread around the world. We can't do it by ourselves. We're not going through a music industry to do it. It can only be done through everybody coming together. If you have a desire to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, please spread this QR code. The actual website is www.thejcproject.org. And this QR code, it leads you actually to the website where you can download the album. We have there'll be merch. There's places to donate if you want to donate to the ministry as well. So we want to just spread the word. That's the true mission of this, just to spread the gospel. But this is gonna be hands-on. So I'm not going through a music industry or anything like that. This is gonna be hands-on. So we're gonna allow God to do whatever He wants to do, and my expectation is what He wants to do. So please join us in this mission.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like I said, we'll dive into this in part 2. But he was like, "Yo, bro, the Lord told me to give this thing away free," and I was like, "The Lord said give it away free. I'm down with it, right?" And then just some of our conversations, for me, it's just like, and I'm a believer. And it's like some of the stuff he said to me sounded outlandish.
Yeah.
I'm new to this, so I'm just gonna sit back and learn. But bro, I appreciate you taking the time with us to share your story,
yes, sir,
just some of your experiences. I hope someone was able to get some nuggets to even understand to have just even a baseline of what it's like walking into the industry. So we appreciate it. Like I said, we're talking about being entrepreneurs, and when you're an artist, like you have to be an entrepreneur as an artist. right? Because it's not a 9 to 5, like you said. It's something that you have. Some people have crazy hours, and but it can bring the most fulfillment based upon your goals in this space.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Well, guys, like I said, we had to cut this episode short, but we definitely want you to tune in for part 2. We're going to dive into even the JC project. What is it that he's wanting to portray? Like you said, I've been I've been a part of it since at least halfway through. Right, it's been a long journey, but I hope something was said to encourage you, to uplift you, to help you, make a decision on if you're going to jump into the music industry, kind of give you some things that set your expectations so you're not disappointed, so you're not just taken advantage of, and all those things. And then, I always got to leave it up to the guy to the left of me to give the benediction. Any last words, my guy?
I don't even need to follow up for that. You dropped them, boo, 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 boo. What is this? Left to say. No, I'm just messing with you. But
because we know you.
Nah. I know, like last time, right? It's like, well, I thought you didn't have anything to say, right?
Yeah.
But I just great. Wes dropped some great points and sharing things with the industry. One thing that kind of stuck out with me is like the God compass thing. Like, I just think that's just important, along with just having that identity within yourself before going into an industry just like such, because like I said, that it's just one of those industries where you not knowing what you will pay, type of thing. So as long as you have the Holy Spirit within you and you trust the voice and the leadership of Christ within you, it will definitely, you will have not much to worry about, I would say, in the industry. And even things similar to that, you know what I'm saying? You can walk in knowing that you don't have to fear, you know what I'm saying? Walk in knowing that you don't have to be filled with trepidation, but that you can walk fiercely and with courage, trusting, hoping in the path that he puts before you, that you're going to be good. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we promote here at Raw on Purpose, knowing who you are and being tapped into your purpose. So definitely, if you're considering going to the industry, make sure you are solid in who you are in your purpose, your divine purpose, and that'll give you some good ground going into anything in life, definitely into the music industry.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. So do us a favor. Please like, share, comment, hit the notification bell so that you can get this information every time it drops, and so that people can hear what we're talking about. I think we're producing some really good content. You guys have grown with us, and we appreciate those subscribers that have been rocking with us, and those listeners and viewers that have been rocking with us. We've just been continuously working on, and as Wes says, you got to grow in your craft. You got to grow, and if it's not getting better, then essentially you're dying, right? And so we're making those steps to get better. So do us a favor, like, share. You'll find us on all the streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Google. We're on Amazon as well. And then if you want to email us, get in contact with us, you can find us at rawonpurpose@gmail.com, and we're on Instagram, rawonpurpose_. So till next time, it's your boy Zay.
And it's your boy Rashad.
And this is the Raw on Purpose podcast.
That's right. Keep tapping it.
Tap into your purpose. Tapping. Check it. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into purpose.